So welcome back, guys, to another video, and today I wanted to talk about how video games got me in trouble. And I'm not talking about the occasional missed homework assignment or failed test, but weird moments in my life that I got in trouble and it involved video games. And honestly, I have to start at the very beginning. When I first got my Nintendo Entertainment System back on the Christmas of '92, it was bundled with Super Mario Bros. 3. It was my first video game console from my grandpa, and to say that it changed my life, it made a big impact, would be a massive understatement. You guys think I'm bad now. Back then, I would not shut up about Nintendo at school. I would talk to my friends about it. I would talk about it at recess. It started getting into my schoolwork, and my teacher would have like these journal entries. Like every morning, she'd have a subject or topic for us to write about. And it would be like, what'd you do this weekend? And I'd be like, I was playing Nintendo. And it got to the point where I think my teacher wasn't really fond of video games, because it got to the point where she was trying to come up with topics that wouldn't involve me talking about Nintendo, like, hey, write about your favorite food. And I would be like, oh, I love pizza. Pizza's really good. I enjoy eating pizza when I'm playing Nintendo. Who doesn't? But the nail in the coffin, and looking back as an adult, this is what got me into a parent-teacher conference, was that she had a teacher assistant. She was an older lady, and she was going through a surgery, and it must have been a very important surgery or a very big surgery, because she was out of commission for a couple weeks. And, you know, the teacher brought in like one of those big, cards for all the kids to sign, get well, speedy recovery sort of thing. And all the kids are, drawing suns and stick figures of her and be like, oh, I hope you get well. Me, on the other hand, I was like, I hope you get well. Play some Nintendo. I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, he got nothing else to do. Why not play some Super Mario Brothers? But that got me banned. I'm talking banned from mentioning Nintendo. I could not talk about Nintendo for the rest of the year at school, or I'd get in trouble. That was the first of many of having my console taken away for a couple of days too. I've always wanted to be a good artist when it comes to drawing. Like I cannot draw to save my life. I can draw little doodles, but I can play music. But drawing was just not my strong point. But I knew this girl in second grade named Sarah, and Sarah was freaking awesome. She liked Batman, she liked comics, and one comic in particular that she really enjoyed was the Archie Sonic the Hedgehog comic. Sonic was huge at the time, and, even back then I didn't have a Sega Genesis, but I still loved Sonic, and she would draw these pictures of Sonic the Hedgehog that looked really, really good. Like, I'm thinking back about it, and I'm like, man, she was a great artist. And I remember asking her, Sarah, can you show me how to draw Sonic the Hedgehog? Now, mind you, I could not draw Sonic as well as she could, but I drew Sonic enough that it looked like Sonic the Hedgehog. So in pure compulsive fashion, I decided to draw Sonic on everything. I would draw Sonic on any sheet of paper, anything that I could find, and I started drawing it on my schoolwork. And it wasn't because I was obsessed with Sonic the Hedgehog. It was because I was obsessed with the fact that I could draw something that looked legible, that someone would look at it and be like, oh, is that Sonic the Hedgehog? Yes, it is. So like being banned from talking about Nintendo, just a year later, I was banned from drawing Sonic the Hedgehog. I still can't really draw that well, even now. Now, we all knew that kid who had every single game, every single console. And 9 times out of 10, usually that kid was kind of a butthole. Let's be honest. They're usually kind of a brat. But I knew a kid who had a lot of video games, a lot of consoles in 4th grade. And I mean, he had the Sega Nomad. He had that. I remember him bringing that to school, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like a portable Sega Genesis. And the thing about it is, this kid was super nice, super cool kid. I cannot talk enough about how cool he was. And I remember asking him one day, because I didn't have a whole lot of video games. I think I had a couple of NES games, and I had Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo. I didn't have a whole lot. And I asked him one day, I'm like, hey, if you have any video games you're not playing, let me borrow them. And he's like, yeah, sure. And, in a couple of days, he'd come by and bring me a video game. I mean, so many video games that I experienced as a young kid was because of this dude. Games like Metroid, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out!, even weird games like Addams Family on the Super Nintendo. This kid was like my personal blockbuster. He'd come every single week and bring a different game. And after a while, I just started holding on to him. Like, he wouldn't ask for the game back. So before I knew it, I had like a whole shoebox of video games. I remember my mom seeing all these video games. She's like, where are you getting all these video games from? And I'm like, my friends just let me borrow them. And I got sick. I had gotten the flu. And so I was out of school for a while. And I mean, I played video games, of course, because that's what you do when you're sick. And I remember my mom calling my teacher to get some of my homework to, catch up on classwork and everything. And the teacher finding out, I guess this kid's mom found out that he was missing like hundreds of dollars. And this was literally hundreds of dollars of video games missing. And I ended up having to give all those games back, and it was very, very awkward. And I think the worst part about it is it's like, when I think back about it, I feel like I was taking advantage of his kindness. And something that really strikes a chord with me was the kid, when I came back to school, he was upset that I wouldn't be his friend anymore. And that really made me feel bad. And I was like, nah, dude, I'm still your friend. And even to this day, if I see him, I still see him in town sometimes. And I'm like, hey man, what's up? Because that was just, he was such a cool guy. I was like, I can't stop being friends with you. But man, a lot of my gaming memories I owe to that kid that had everything. And the last story I want to talk about is the high definition of karma. See, a lot of us now, we romanticize going to Blockbuster and renting video games, but it had its pros and cons. It had its problematic moments, including a game that you would want to play that was always out of stock. And I remember this one game, I wanted to play it so bad. Every time I came in, it was gone. And so I had this idea that I would just play hooky. On a Friday, I would act like I was sick. I can't believe I'm talking about this, but I took a Ziploc bag, guys. I made fake vomit, okay? I took a Ziploc bag and like chewed up food, spitting it in the bag. It looked gross, and I put water. And you guys remember Tang? I don't know if Tang is still around. It's like that powdery orange liquid stuff. I put that in there, mixed it up, and shook up the bag. And I remember dumping it in the toilet and telling my mom, "Oh, I got sick. I threw up." And my mom, she believed me. I don't even think I had to make fake vomit, but I was trying to make this a heist. I'm making this into a whole thing right here. I'm going to Blockbuster. I'm getting this game. So I went to Blockbuster. I talked my mom into let me rent a video game because I'm sick on the Friday. What better way to get better than to play Nintendo? And that game, Mario, is missing. Now, granted, guys, this is before the internet. This is before you had content creators and YouTubers talking about games before they even come out. This game looked like a sequel to Super Mario World. I mean, looking at the screenshots, looking at the gameplay, I was like, man, I really want to play this. Obviously, I'm a huge Mario fan. But if you're familiar with Mario is Missing, then you know it's an educational game. And I remember getting the game and just feeling very accomplished at this idea, this hoax that I had, all came to plan. And I put in my Super Nintendo, I started playing it, and I was like, what is this? What is this? And I, to this day, I still laugh about it. The fact that I played hooky to play an educational game. But I do want to mention there is a fan game called Mario is Missing Done Right, which is like what I expected this game to be. And it's a really fun ROM hack of Super Mario World. Definitely check it out. But anyway, guys, those are some moments that video games got me in trouble. But what about you? What were some moments that video games got you in trouble? Leave a comment below. I love to read some of your stories. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, but also hit the bell so you're notified on all future videos that come out on this channel. Anyway, guys, as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And as always, happy gaming.